Well, the Union of Auto Workers, the UAW, has gone on strike. A lot of people don't know exactly what that is or why it's happened. So I'm going to say what it is, and Mark, you're going to say what it means. If you don't know what the Union of Auto Workers is, that's a whole bunch of people that make cars in the United States of America, and they've joined together and made a union. I like unions. I'm part of a union. Mark, could you take a guess at how many people you think are part of the UAW?
130,000.
That is an excellent guess on your part. It's 145,000 people. These
Wow.
are breadwinners in America. That's a whole bunch of people. And these negotiations that have come to a teeth grinding halt. These negotiations, here's the deal. The Biden administration is putting these expectations on these large automakers. So they're having to kind of shift their plans. Their workers are seeing what's coming and going, we need some considerations and we need some assurances based on what the future is going to look like. So you might have heard that during his administration, Joe Biden's crew has made this push, a huge push for electric vehicles. So this past spring, he proposed emission standards on going forward that would require 67% of all cars sold in the US to be electric by the year 2032. This was an unexpected upgrade to his earlier mandate that 50% of all cars sold by 2030 be all electric. Now, that all sounds conceptual until you realize, Mark, would you like to take a guess what percentage of cars presently made are electric in the United States?
I bet it's 6%.
You are very, very close. It's actually between 6 and 7%. We can
Wow.
say 7%. And he's saying we're going to bump that up by 60%. So imagine shutting down all conventional internal combustion engines and going to electric. This is a massive turnover that's being called for. What Joe Biden is not advertising with these mandates is that China dominates the electric vehicle industry. It is the world's largest electric vehicle market, accounting for 60% of all global sales. So, what he's effectively doing is putting a gun to the head of the American auto industry and saying, reinvent yourselves in a very short window of time, or China is about to dominate what we have done historically. So the UAW knows that shifting to electric vehicles will definitely lead to layoffs. It will shrink their union. Ford Motor acknowledged that producing this amount of EVs will require 40% less labor than a traditional engine. So there's a lot of tension happening. And my last little data point for you is that Sean Fain, the UAW president, has made almost impossible demands to the companies, like GM and Ford. And he is what he's asking for is a pay hike of 46% over 4 years, a new 32-hour work week. Hello. And generous cost of living adjustments and pensions. So the auto company is feeling this squeeze from the government saying, we want you to reinvent yourselves. And all of their workers are saying, we want a whole bunch more money. So, and I'll give you one, sorry, I lied. I'll give you one more quote. The UAW has said that the draconian measures required by the U.S. government at this point cannot be met without substantially increasing the cost of vehicles, reducing consumer choice, and disadvantaging major portions of the U.S. population and territory. That's what the strike is about. And that's why these workers have said, we can't handle it anymore. We've got to have some considerations. Now, my question to you, Mark, is what does all of this mean to the American consumer?
Yeah. So there's two things that are going on. One is the electric vehicle question, and the other is the UAW strike. Um, Really briefly, I'm not gonna. We could do. We need to get Ian back on here, and we'll do a whole
Yes, we
episode
do.
on electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are piling up on lots in the
That's
United
right.
States at a faster pace than basically any car has ever built up. You just saw Tesla cut their prices by 25%.
Amazing.
So a $100,000 super luxury Model S is now a $75,000 car, and I think you can get a Tesla for almost just a smidge over 30 grand now. So that's
Yeah.
a big deal.
They are
Um,
not moving nearly as fast as the producers thought that they would be.
they sold them like hotcakes when Tesla was a small company and it was a novelty, and the tech bros wanted one. But you know who doesn't want one is the farmers in Nebraska for the
That's
most
right.
part. So I don't really have an opinion on that, except to say we might be hitting a point where America kind of laughs at Mr. Biden and says, come and take my gas engine. Like, well, let's see that happen. I
Right.
do think, interestingly, Tesla is a non union company. So their
Yep.
cars are all built by non union workers. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think Tesla is making very smart moves given everything else that's going on. The
Yes.
question is whether people will want to buy their cars. Um, in terms of how this is going to impact, the everyday consumer, I think that we just got out of a time when, as Ian told us over the last two episodes we've done on cars, when Americans, there was just no inventory. I think there was, I forget, 17 million fewer vehicles produced over a 3 or 4 year period than normal.
Mhm.
Um, and so there was no inventory, and that shot the prices up on used cars. It shot the prices up on new cars. Dealers were selling cars over MSRP. Used
Yep.
cars were selling for more than new cars. So it was kind of crazy. Um, that could happen again. We've never seen a strike of all three major US automakers at the same time. It's always
Yep.
been one of them. So the fact that all of them are getting shut out right now, it could be a big deal. Knowing what I know about inventories right now, and more importantly, about the number of people who, because of scarcity in the car market, have taken on $2,000 a month car payments that can't
Yep.
afford it.
Yep.
Um, Delinquencies on car loans are at an all-time high right now.
Not good for the economy.
Not
Not
good
good.
for the economy. Not bad for Mark, though, because I think these people are going to start sending those cars back to the bank.
Yes.
And my plan is to scoop one up when there's a glut of full-size SUVs that people can no longer finance.
Okay,
Now,
let me summarize what I've heard from you so far. The inventory on electric vehicles is way, way up, which means that prices are going to be coming down if you can hold your horses and you're into an electric vehicle. The prices of normal vehicles, I'm going to call your full size SUV a normal vehicle, those are very high as well, but they're going to be people are going to be defaulting. So your move is I'm going to wait a while and we'll make do. We'll live in discomfort because I think that there's going to be some resales on these things because people are spending money they don't have to buy cars that they wish for.
that's right. And this plays out in one of two ways. Either the strike is over quickly and we're back to relatively healthy inventory numbers, and my plan plays out really nicely because interest rates are so high that, unlike in 2020 when we had a inventory problem, people could go out and they say, well, it is $80,000, but 0% interest, and I'll get an 82-month loan, and maybe I can make that work. Now, interest rates are 9% on a new car, and you can go, if you have good credit, and you just can't make, the banks won't loan to you if you aren't in pretty rare air in terms of income. So that's option one. Option two is I lose the game, and this auto worker strike goes on for 9 months, and there's zero inventory, and everything goes to the moon. And that is an option that I'm okay with because I made a wise choice and bought Toyota vehicles, which means I've got at least 250,000 miles in the back pocket where if I need to, I can drive that car. And that's a decision that a lot of Americans are making right now is like, I'm just going to try to make the old car work for a little
Yeah.
while until this craziness settles down.
Okay, so bottom line is, I think we're going to be here for a while in this strike because the two sides are so far apart right now. So I think it's going to be a while. So if you're in the market for an electric, you might hold on for a minute. If you're in a market for a conventional car, I would say we should jump now, don't you think? Because prices might be going up, up, up.
It's not an unreasonable thing if you really do need to buy a car to go to a dealership and see if you can get in on current prices because dealers are discounting right now. As
Yes.
of this morning, when we're recording this, inventories were still significantly higher than they were even 6 months ago. So that means there is discounts today. Those could go away entirely if the strike goes on for months.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, if you liked this content, be sure to like it and subscribe and share it with somebody. And remember, no matter how you're doing and leading your family, God's love for you is huge and His grace is...